kind of regret my thumbnail face immediately. I don't know why. It's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Because it's not showing off your cheekbones.
I don't. I don't know how to process this.
Warming up. Okay. YouTube monitor is running.
I think I ate a lot today. If it counts for balancing, I had a lot of vinegar today. Indulgence. Weekend naman.
Facebook is running. Okay. Yep.
I am tweeting links.
We're sharing feed as well.
Ab truffle.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that
just
like that?
Kenny. Okay.
Gosh, we haven't mapped out our plans for next week.
Yep. I
So
guess we'll figure it out during Antutan says.
or we like have to maybe starting this week. Let's try to map out the next week earlier.
Yeah.
Just so that on the Sunday episode we can talk about it if we do have a Sunday episode.
Which means at the very least we have to do content meeting on Saturdays. But
Yeah,
then
right.
we're always busy with games, which is not a bad thing. Or a Friday night. I don't know. I want to play Talisman.
I feel like with our light,
I want to play Thunderbird.
we can have the camera further away so we have a bigger shot now. I just wonder if that affected our audio levels because the mic's further away.
That's true though. Although I think we can project decently enough. So hello Andre, hello Karen.
Can you let us know if we sound too far? Do we need to raise our voices more? Because we kind of like this, kind of far away. Light source is there. We have more light.
It's so
on our
big.
face.
It's a bigger ring light.
The shadows look nicer.
With a taller tripod. It's like this giant thing on the table. We could actually probably put it like on the floor or the chair, but it's fine. It's fine on the table.
I like it up here because look, the shadows.
Yeah,
pretty much make us have nicer faces, but you have cheekbones.
Thank you.
And then we have backlight now, so you can see there's a hint of light in the back, which allows us to pop more from the background.
So be production team.
Yeah, there's love.
Yeah, you can see the chair is like glowing.
Yeah. It's still not the perfect backlight, but
Technically, we all have cheekbones. It's just some of them are more protected than others.
It's just like how we all have abs.
Yes.
My hair is getting messy. The wind is getting to it.
That also means you need a haircut soon.
Oh,
it's almost been a month again, isn't it? It's sad. Okay. I guess we should start. because there's Antutan says, but the
Yes, we want to support Antutan says. It is 9:17, and we might as well get started. This is Toby.
and this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This is our 180th episode. 180 episodes, that's crazy.
And we're not daily, so that means we've been doing this even longer.
That's crazy. And it's another check-in episode as we try to reach out and be sure that all of you are okay, that we are okay, and we are sharing other ways we can be okay. In this case, this episode is what?
Staring at the thing. Okay. I'm kind of conscious now.
See, told
The
you.
thing.
See, told you.
Okay. Okay. This is a requested topic by Kenny, who maybe will be able to join. But today we're talking about meditation and de-stressing.
Mhm.
Of course, immediate disclaimer, I don't think either of us are experts necessarily at meditation,
Mhm.
nor are we regular practitioners of like,
Yes.
I guess, traditional meditation itself. But it should be a good thing to talk about. And ultimately, let's just talk about what's effective for us
Mm-mm.
for centering and de-stressing. And there's a lot of power to meditation, actually. Don't knock it, I guess.
Hey, Mitch.
Mitch. Okay.
Especially nowadays with stress constantly there being present, we we can't deny that there are days we just really feel we have off days, or days that we find ourselves snapping without expecting it, or days where the smallest triggers can make us feel like crap.
hmm
And a lot of that is because of the fact that we are still surviving through this pandemic.
And where our brains are in survival mode, when it's, I guess, not quite full on fight or flight, but it's definitely tense, and it's a lot that it's a steady weight that is on all of us. So we can't necessarily do anything about it. It's an external pressure
Mhm.
based on the situation that we're in, but we should be aware of it and try to manage it.
So while we can't all be Vulcans like him, who can
Oh wow, you
simply
connected the shirt. Good job.
yes, who can simply push away emotions and deal with everything logically, we will at least share our ways or our tips on how we are able to manage our stress.
Yeah.
So,
I guess we first try to talk about meditation in itself. And I think that and I always expect that whenever you talk about meditation, sooner or later, someone is going to say, oh, I fell asleep when I tried to meditate, which is fair. It's at least you're a totally relaxed state. So that's not entirely a bad thing. But, I think that people need to recognize that meditation takes work,
mhm,
which is ironic. Meditation, it's hard to actually clear your mind
yes.
of everything that you're thinking about and not to be overly focused on on one particular like
Mhm.
train of thought, and just let yourself drift. If anything, and then because I have looked into it as uh, something I've considered in like dealing with things. Because it takes work,
Mhm.
you can't jump in and like even expect to do 10 solid minutes of meditation immediately. Even just a minute of silence and trying to settle your thoughts and calm down can be difficult if you're so used to like needing to be productive, especially with the way our brains are trained with things like our devices and stuff.
Mhm.
The same mindset that conditions you to look at your phone whenever you see a notification. So you're wired to like be constantly on the lookout for
Mhm.
input. And meditation is like the reverse of that, where you slow down and things like that.
There is also the tendency to worry too much if you're doing it right.
Hmm.
And this I guess, overactive state of concern can ruin your attempts to meditate.
Mhm.
You know, at a point wherein you should just be mindful of your breathing and focused on relaxing and clearing your mind. You might be thinking, am I doing it right? I feel like I'm stupid. This probably looks funny for others. Thank God no one's seeing me. I wonder if I'm doing it too long. maybe I should have my legs folded, or maybe my back hurts. Oh, now my arm is itchy. And all these constant barrage of thoughts
Hmm.
are basically part of what you have to learn to stop doing when you enter meditation.
Yeah, and thankfully in this digital age, though, there are a lot of tools to support
Yes.
you in getting started in meditation. You don't even have to download. There are dedicated apps, there are paid apps, but you don't even have to go with that. You can actually just start with some of the guided meditation videos on
Hmm.
YouTube, which typically um, involve more often than not some white woman, but talking you through a meditation session. And regardless of whichever meditation practice you try out, you'll notice that there are common threads to it, where it's a lot of uh, relaxing your breathing, clearing your mind,
Hmm.
and just the process of really monitoring your breath and thinking about how that goes can be quite
Hmm.
relaxing and should help you get into that meditative state. But yeah, but I will stress every time, like, don't rush. Don't think that, okay, I'm gonna meditate for 30 minutes today, and you have never really meditated before, or you've been out of practice. Uh, Slow down, build up to it. Start with something small, and then even if you felt that was good, don't dive into a new session immediately. Like, give it a day. You know, um, if anything, like most things, if you want to really incorporate it into your life, you have to build a habit. You have to figure out when you're going to do it.
Hmm.
Um, there are meditation tracks that are designed to, like, do it at the start of the day to wake you up. There are others about end of day to help you
Hmm.
process. And I think there's no right or wrong. Just go with what feels best for you and see if it can help you. But be patient with the process. Um, like, I know, like, my Fitbit has a breathing. I only have a Fitbit Inspire HR, but it has like a guided breathing thing,
Hmm.
which, okay, not as great. I have to play my own music because it's really just a timer on my device. The app also comes with, they've been testing out something called Fitbit Relax,
Hmm.
which is another guided meditation attempt. It's okay, it's free, but I feel like there are better YouTube videos for it. Have you tried, like, I don't know, getting into meditation at some point?
My earlier experiences with meditation first began when I was very much into swimming,
Mm,
because a lot of swimming is also this. I guess the best way to describe it is it's mindful breathing.
yeah, that's
It's
true.
it's learning to do something that you normally do autonomously with much more attention, but at the same time not being too caught up focusing on doing it.
Mm-mm.
Because when you're swimming, at least competitively, there is that you should be very aware of each breath you take, so you maximize that breath.
Yes.
But then you should also not focus too much on the breathing, because you must keep in the rhythm of your motions while swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was a lot of we would float in the water, and we would like be very mindful of how long we're there. We're counting each time we allow bubbles to come out.
Mm.
And then after a while, we'll rise up, calm, take another breath, because the tendency is, and then you go back down.
Yeah.
And that is like the worst thing to do when you're swimming competitively, because you're actually forcing so much effort in the act of breathing.
Yeah. Then you're stealing energy away from other
Whereas if
things.
you were just more internalized about it, it could be just pushing your face above the water
Yeah.
to take that breath and going back in. And you're maintaining the rhythm while swimming.
I
So
can
that,
only agree on an abstract level as someone who hasn't figured out that whole swimming thing. And, like, whenever I gently turn my head up to pull in air, I am underwater.
Mhm.
So it's like,
But that was many years ago. So I like when we went to Boracay, I realized I had a panic moment with my breathing, because I couldn't find
remember
that
it.
calm moment anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Another time I went into my meditation experiences was when I was active in the Spirit Quest Arts.
Yes.
So during that time, we had a lot of more mindful moments, whether it was moments to, open our senses and be more receptive to the presence of things around us,
Mm-hmm.
or during those sessions where we would just quietly sit and, in prayer, reach out and, share energy. And it was interesting because um, it is quite possible for you to not realize you've slipped into sleep.
Yeah.
So it can reach a point wherein you know you're meditating, you feel your stance, you know the position you're in, but you're not consciously staying in that position. You just know you're locked there and that's it. But then you'll suddenly realize you're like, okay, I fell asleep. I got too
That
deep.
was a perfect Toby snore interruption sound. That's literally what I hear. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, those are the kind of experiences I've had in the past.
Yeah, but it's a good segue because then like outside of like deliberate meditative practice, sometimes there is comfort in routine
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. So for Toby indirectly, it was like the swimming practice, and
Mhm.
then for me on a more regular basis is that part of my workouts is that I can select different yoga routines
Mhm.
from the Nike Training Club app, and
Not sponsored.
yeah, it's free, so whatever.
Yeah, but
Um,
there's not a sponsored Nike training app post.
but and I like that they I so before I would only use before I'd only use yoga on rest days,
Mhm.
on recovery days, and that's like my activity for the day. But now if I have the time, like after a circuit workout or whatever interval workout, then if I can squeeze in a quick like 20-minute restorative yoga session, I feel a lot better for it. And yoga and similar practices, pilates or whatnot, are also very focused on the breath.
Mhm.
And so I know that if I'm in a really good state, then sometimes I'm not even noticing I'm following the cues for
Yes.
like what the next pose is, and I just flow from one position to the next,
Mhm.
and then I feel like really good. And I'm the type of person who works out at the beginning of the day instead of the end of the day, so it's a nice way to start. When I incorporate some of the yoga into it, I don't get to do it every day because I balance off still needing to do
Mhm.
more intense stuff, but I do greatly appreciate it, and I try to make time for it whenever possible.
There is the fact that, well, probably I can't say fact, but there is the one has to realize that there are different levels of conscious activity that we tend to do.
Hmm.
Um, like it's one thing to be aware that you have to do something, but then there's the level of awareness that your body is capable of doing without you really paying attention to it. And this goes in many levels. There's the autonomous one wherein you're breathing without thinking it
Yeah.
because your body normally breathes, or you're blinking your eyes every few seconds without really thinking about it because your eyes need to stay liquidated. I'm sorry, lubricated. Um, but then,
Hydrated.
as Karen mentioned, repressed emotions can be dangerous, and that's also partly because they can be manifested by your body without you thinking it.
Hmm.
And in a positive way, this can be shown how sometimes, like for example, in Duolingo, you're supposed to match a character to the word. You're consciously still thinking what it is, but you're already reaching for the answer
Mm-mm.
because you're unconsciously already aware of what the answer is. But likewise, when you have repressed emotions, when you have frustrations and pent up anger, you might be shutting the door louder than you should be without thinking it. You might be, grabbing something so tight without thinking it. Next thing you know, you're scratching yourself. And it's stuff like that. You have to let these negative energies or these more stressful emotions out in some manner. That is a manner you have chosen to let them out. Because if not, you then risk having explosive moments, which you did not even want to do, but end up doing.
And I feel like that happens a lot more these days. I mean, I've had my share of
Mhm.
like, I know I'm snapping at Toby already, and then I hate it that I am, and I just apologize for it and explain what's going on. But it happens. Um, then similarly, there's like another thing I guess you can think of that you can consider is there's a whole movement about mindfulness about how you eat and how you drink, and sort of similar to the yoga or
Mhm.
similar to the swimming, where when you we're talking about unconscious and conscious, where mindfulness is a lot of like putting deliberate effort into appreciating moments
Mhm.
and slowing things down. And I attended this webinar once, this talk on mindful eating, and it's kind of interesting. Like, so if you feel like you're not the type that can handle meditation well, whether it's you don't have the patience for it, or you think you're gonna fall asleep,
Or you feel like it's a waste of time.
or you feel like it's a waste of time,
Hmm.
then maybe mindful eating, mindful drinking might be an easier route for you,
Yes.
which may again still prove very difficult. So like one tip is like to really allocate time for yourself at the start of the day to really enjoy either your first meal or like even just that first cup of coffee. And I'm super guilty of this. Coffee is functional,
Mhm.
where it's there beside me as I work and I drink it like periodically. But then have you ever really like taken the time to fully appreciate whatever that, if it's coffee, tea, milk, whatever
Mhm.
drink that is? And so really just when you think about mindfulness, it's just having you and the coffee and nothing else bothering you, not even your phone, which is scary for some,
Mhm.
but to have your phone away, not even a book, because that's still like using your brain actively, and just be quiet and slowly drink your coffee and just appreciate the aroma, the taste of it, whatever
Mhm.
texture that may come with it, and just drink your cup of coffee.
Mhm.
And that could be a nice meditative practice for you. It could be a nice way to start the day. But admittedly, I find this very difficult only
Mhm.
because, again, like I start my day like I'm already checking off boxes in my head about my to do list for today, that I have to work out and then I have to shower and then
Mhm.
I'm going to brew coffee and then I have to check my email. But it may be something that could help, whether it's start of the day or end of the day. That may be another like meditation style practice that you consider. And it doesn't sound, and a lot of times, a lot of meditation doesn't sound that complicated because
Mhm.
ultimately it's not in terms of what you're doing, but uh, getting out of your habits, getting out of your normal active life mode where you're thinking about every single thing.
Mhm.
That's the hard part. That's like, turning off your brain and moving away from it.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I find moments like that. If it's not a rush in the day, I'm very mindful in my shower.
Mm.
So I get the temperature right before I start, and then I take a few seconds letting it flow through my hair, letting it course down my body, and I try to appreciate. I'm getting a good shower. I'm I'm not like, how when you have really stressful days, you don't even have time to shower. You just jump from the bed straight to the computer. You're working, and then
Yeah.
you feel sticky, and you hate how it's all like this. So I'm appreciating that moment. There's almost a ritualistic aspect where I get the shampoo and I swirl it first in my hands and I double check the consistency. And it's funny because it feels like you're just being overly dramatic about everything,
Mm-mm.
but it's really about making those moments count and seeing things beyond what you're expecting. So, for example, the shampoo, usually people talk about, okay, how good it feels on your head. But have you considered how it feels when you mix it in your fingers? Have you considered, you know, applying it bit by bit onto your hair and seeing how it changes in texture as you add more and more? So it's stuff like that. It's being more, giving more attention to every small bit of it, every small part of the experience. And there's even a lot of this as part of um, um, meditational practices that try to incorporate it in part of your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
There was one practice that I used to do wherein it was something you try to incorporate before going to sleep. So you lie on your back, you're prepared for bed, so you're done with all the other brushing your teeth, dressing down, shower, whatever. And then starting with, whether you start with your toes or you start with your head, you apply pressure. So like here, you might squint and try to squeeze every part of your face and then release. And then you do that with your mouth and then release. And then you try to do that with your chest, release, and on until you've squeezed and released your entire body. And it sounds, parang there's that almost comical idea to it. But then if you start doing it, you start to realize, it does make you very mindful that, oh, okay, my hands are that stressed out. My legs needed that squeeze, or my legs needed that relaxation moment. So it's that sort of thing.
Hey, Kenny, it's your topic. But thank you for quickly dropping by. Okay. Yeah. So, uh, is this it? I think it can vary, and you can turn almost anything into an almost meditative practice or
Mm,
experience. So maybe hard, immediate meditation is not accessible to everyone, but think about mindfulness and think about how that can approach.
mhm,
There's a Netflix miniseries which I've been wanting to watch, but I haven't gotten around to it. But I've heard good things about. It's the Headspace one about
mhm,
their guide to meditation, which might be a good place for many to start and to think about how they want to get into that sort of a practice. Or yeah, or conversely, you can look at the mindfulness movement or mindful eating. You can try it with your coffee. You can try it with breakfast.
mhm,
Or if it's difficult during the work week, maybe at least on the weekend, like when you're not rushing, then try to have that one drink or
mhm,
meal and just savor it and just enjoy every aspect of it. Study the temperature, study the
mhm.
feelings you get, and it might um, help you also. Mitch said there's also one for sleep, but I think coming soon on Netflix. Yeah, I saw that Netflix has another one coming for sleep, so that's interesting. So that's why I really wanna. I have yet to cycle it in, ironically, because things have been so busy. But um, yeah, there are lots of possible guides out there. And then if you, depending on like your direction, if you're just okay with the small practices, or if you want to really build up to like serious longer term meditation, there are some great paid programs out there. My sister tried a few, and then she shared some of the
Mhm.
videos with us. And like, oh, okay, this is very interesting. But but don't feel pressured. Like, uh, the free stuff isn't bad. I think the only annoyance is like if you have to deal with ads on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. That may get in the way of your
Mhm.
starting your practice. Um, Okay, so beyond like the full meditative things, anything else we can talk about from a de-stressing perspective,
Mhm.
Toby?
So for de-stressing, the standard, almost common office option that people will always talk about are stress balls. And stress
Fidget
balls are
spinners.
the squeeze things that you can squish as much as you want. But beyond that, you have the fidget toys, the spinners, the small fidget cubes,
Yeah.
and even now there's those reusable bubble wrap toys that are those silicone things with a popping feeling that you could do around like 200 pesos for each object. So having those objects are always a plus. Just bear in mind they only work as much as you use them. And it's quite often for many to have them but not really have them nearby to use.
Hmm.
So keep that in mind. They're also not instant solutions.
Yeah.
They're just meant there to be tools that you can utilize if you need that added push.
So Karen mentions the Luminate app is awesome. That's cool.
Mm,
I'll look into that recommendation. Mitch, similar to you, is like it's the chill moment that you're under the shower and wash your thoughts figuratively. So yeah,
mhm,
so Toby and you share that shower meditation ish thing. I admit I'm very functional in the shower. I'm
mhm,
like in and out, but it's also because like I'm always jump running to my next appointment, and then I knew there are times I really need to slow down or I need to figure out something midday because it's normally in the afternoon that I start getting
mhm.
like really angsty and irritable depending on how my work day is going. And yeah, so I don't know. I know what other recommendations do people have? Haha, Karen's like voodoo dolls for
If
meditation.
only you could use voodoo dolls to give yourself a massage, because nowadays with the pandemic,
Oh my
it's a bit
god.
tricky if you want to get a good massage. And as much as there are services out there, and we would like to keep supporting them, the fear of doing massages is just too strong, especially since it's really not a recommended activity in the pandemic.
Yep.
There are purchasable machines that can help, everything from that head thing that people use for head massages to
The
the,
gun.
the small handheld guns, as well as other devices which some friends may have realized were not just meant for back massages. But we love you and we will not make much fun about that. The point is, you find ways to get those physical nuts and pains out, which includes accepting your age, stop being too worried about it, and just using liniment and other oils when you want to.
Smell as Lola or Lolo as you need to feel better.
Or use those mentholated oils, no matter how how out of place it feels to use them, because they will help warm up and feel better. Warm up those warm muscles and make them feel better.
I like
Um,
what Mitch said. She's like de-stressing. Her goal is to laugh genuinely at least once a day, and I need that to
that's a
have a
nice
sense of my
one.
life. That's nice. Find something to laugh or enjoy about. Always go back to Miranda, So, um, and then I guess we can touch on things like aromatherapy. I'm not an
Yes.
expert. I know there are people who are much more well versed into it, but at the very least, like which is one of the first things we did at the beginning of quarantine last year was like to dig up our diffuser and like
Mm,
bring it back to life because it had fallen out of use. And then I also was like, oh crap, I need to buy more.
oils.
Ironically, water soluble oils. I,
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but that's what they call it. But yeah, so uh, I mean, there are specific scents for different whatever modes
Some wake
feelings.
you up,
Yeah,
others calm you down, and that.
ultimately, I will just say go with whatever smells nice to you to begin
Mm,
with, and then if you want to do the research, that's fine. I I fall back. I mean, I think like lavender is a common like popular scent that can
calming
be
one.
calming. But I ironically always fall back into lavender and peppermint. But that's really more a breathing thing. This used to be my asthma mix, a little lavender and peppermint to kind of spark up. Um, but it results are different. Karen mentions aromatherapy. Yes, I remember you also gave us like before the what was that for the mosquitoes? The oh my gosh,
That's about the citrus. It's not citrus.
it
Ah,
starts with the C. It's uh
it was about the citronella.
yes, citronella. Yeah, yeah, citronella. And then you had like one of those peely scent oil things
Mhm.
that you can
So
rub.
it's like white flour for those who are more familiar with that. But basically, you have those really strong oils that you could use to massage yourself. You massage your temples, or
Or
you
you
apply it.
dab like behind the ear.
Yeah, just so that you have that fresh feeling. It's very helpful, especially when the thing about aromatherapy that people don't realize that you know how typically when you want to distress, it's about I need to get out or I need to step else, I need to step somewhere else.
Mm-mm.
Aromatherapy has the effect of doing that to your subconscious self.
Because a lot of memory, I mean, one of the biggest triggers of memory is scent,
Yes,
ironically enough. It's
and
not visuals.
and that memory trigger is again another unconscious response, which is why the smell of bread makes you think of home, or the smell of rain makes you feel nostalgic, and by simply having aromatherapy active at that point, even if it's going to be a busy day, as far as your body is concerned, okay, this is a happy place. This is the spa where I felt good. This is the nice time I had a relaxing day. So it helps, shock the system in that way.
Mitch shares peppermint to wake up, lavender to chill. So I don't know what my mix is. It just helps me breathe. But it's a mix of wake up and chill. Karen also shares chamomile tea is good for calming and de stressing. That's true, though. I mean, I've always been a big fan of chamomile.
Mhm.
And um, although I tend to like stronger tea. But then, like, I understand, like, and a lot of like bedtime tea tends to have chamomile involved. So that's something to consider. Um, what else? What else? But yeah, and then I guess calming sounds and music. I mean, um, it's depending on your preference or what works for you and your
Mhm.
experience. I mean, there's a lot of like Zen meditation, spa music things you can
Mhm.
listen to.
But for some, that might be distracting. I had a friend who actually found it more calming to listen to heavy metal
It
because
it can depend. 'Cause then it feels more like white noise.
yes, exactly, and that's when I realized, okay, I kind of get it.
There was a time that I would super dig into the different Spotify
Mhm.
productivity playlists, and there's a lot of like house white noise, house whatever things, and you know not bad. It's not bad. It's like it because the thing with lyric, your popular music with lyrics and stuff, then you might end up focusing on the music and then you
Singing
stop working.
along.
So there are like different things. So you may want to spend some time exploring these things if you have, if you already have Spotify,
Mhm.
or on YouTube or whatever. Karen says binaural audio for Zen. Okay, great tips. You can listen to ducks. No, and things like that. So, what else? Do people have other tips or recommendations for what else you do to de-stress?
I think the last one I would add.
The soundtrack of Wingspan.
That
That's a
works.
good one.
I think the last one I would add is the last distressing tip I could share would be to do stuff which you feel you are in control of. And
Mm,
this can range from um, arranging and organizing things that are not too stressful. So, for example, maybe don't try to untangle the Christmas lights because that's always going to be painful.
that's hard.
But then maybe you have a bag and your bag you haven't rearranged things in the last few days. So to bring everything out and then to put them back in order, it gives you a sense of control. It gives you a sense of I don't know, having a bit more power over everything.
I fold laundry
Mhm.
or wash dishes. I seriously like because dishes I have a sequence for it, and then I'll work my way through it, and then you feel better when it's all done, and then like you fix them all and
So
do
it's
them.
those small
Yeah,
moments of choosing something predictable and within your capacity and then doing it.
yeah.
Because you're not necessarily doing it because it has to be done, but because it brings you joy.
It's like I used to like I have a lot of times where I've gone back to idle games in
Mhm.
terms of the casual game market. So I
Excuse
had
me.
I had Abyssrium, which was an aquarium.
Yeah.
I had Penguin Island, which is just all these tiny penguins. Then I would just like watch it for a few minutes every few hours, and like it could just make me feel good. So it really depends on like I guess whatever your preference is and stuff, and there are even maybe games that can help. Although I think in the long term, people already will generally say that get away from devices and um, find other methods. But
Mhm.
work with what works for you. Yeah, so I think that's our short little episode on ways to maybe introduce more meditation into your life or more these
Mhm.
ways of de-stressing. I think as long as you invest time in it and you follow what helps you, what makes you feel calmer, what makes your body relax, what helps you shake off stress and tension, then by all means, keep doing it and go for it.
Mhm. And sometimes that can include dancing when you're alone.
Or as Mitch says, eating ice cream, a reward at the end
Mhm.
of the day, a little escape. So yeah, lots of ways.
I guess that's it. That's our short check-in episode for this Sunday. We unfortunately have not mapped out the coming week, but we will have the announcement on that as soon as we can. We thank you so much for spending time with us, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
If you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at Bitly Baduy Pride Ideas. Thanks again to Kenny, who only dropped by to watch the show a little, but then he suggested this topic. So
Hopefully, you'll be
thanks.
able to watch it later on, and it
Yeah,
will help.
and you can always watch it, in perpetuity while it's online. You can follow us on Twitter, also be no shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what little mindful practices have you fallen back on or rely on to get you through difficult days.
Mhm.
We would love to hear them. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride.